Okay, let's go.
Let me ask you something. Is the cash you have sitting in your bank account really safe? It's a question we just don't think about enough. But honestly, in today's economy, just holding on to cash can be surprisingly risky. So in this explainer, we're going to break down 6 assets that can actually protect and grow your wealth, drawing on some great insights from Wealth Rebuilds.
Wow, that's a pretty bold statement, isn't it? But it points to a really critical truth. You see, while the number in your savings account might be inching up, the actual value of that money, what you can buy with it, is probably shrinking. So let's dig into why that's happening.
And this is the culprit right here, wealth erosion. It's this quiet, sneaky process where inflation is just running faster than the interest you're earning. So yeah, your account balance is going up, but you can buy less with it year after year. It's kind of like trying to walk up an escalator that's going down. You're moving, but you're still losing ground.
So this gets us to what you could call the cash paradox. We're all taught to think of cash as the ultimate safe bet, right? But in an environment with high inflation, holding on to it can be one of the riskiest things you can do for your financial future. So what are the alternatives? Let's get into them.
First up, let's talk about hard assets. I'm talking about tangible, physical things that have real intrinsic value. Think precious metals and the essential industrial stuff that literally builds the world around us.
So what's the big idea here? It all comes down to scarcity. See, governments can print more money whenever they want, and that devalues it. But you can't just print more gold. You can't just print more silver. This natural scarcity is what makes them such a reliable store of value, especially when currencies start to get a little shaky.
I mean, just take a look at the journey gold has been on, from about $400 an ounce back in the 50s to over $2,000 today. And some folks are even forecasting it could hit $10,000 in the next decade. It's just a powerful, powerful example of how these hard assets can preserve and even grow your wealth over the long haul.
But hey, it's not just about the shiny stuff. Industrial commodities are also a huge deal. Take cobalt, for instance. Its price literally doubled in just 10 years. Why? Well, mostly because it's absolutely critical for the batteries that power all our electric vehicles. When you invest here, you're basically investing in the building blocks of our future tech.
Okay, fair question. I get it. Most of us don't have a secret vault in the basement to store gold bars or a warehouse for tons of cobalt. So how on earth does a regular person get in on this action?
Well, luckily, it's way easier than you might think. You can buy into something called a gold ETF. That's an exchange-traded fund. It's basically like buying a stock that just tracks the price of gold, so you get all the benefit without needing a forklift. Or you could invest in the companies that are actually pulling these resources out of the ground, the big mining firms. These are some really clever, modern ways to get exposure.
Okay, so we've talked about physical stuff. Now let's switch gears to our next category, assets that are backed by a promise. And not just any promise, but the full faith and credit of a government.
You've seen this on every US dollar bill, probably a million times. But have you ever really stopped to think about what it means? See, since the dollar isn't backed by gold anymore, its value comes from the simple trust we have in the US government. It's valuable because they say it is, and, well, because we all agree to play along.
So, a sovereign guarantee is basically an investment in a government's ability to keep its promises. It's considered super safe because a strong government has all these powerful tools, like taxation, and they can control their own currency. They'll do everything they can to avoid defaulting. But, and this is a big but, you've got to choose your government wisely. The 2009 crisis in Greece is a perfect and pretty scary reminder that not all government promises are created equal.
For those of you in the US, there's actually a very direct way to do this. You can buy Treasury securities, things like T-bills and bonds, straight from the source through the government's Treasury Direct website. You're essentially lending money to the government, and in return, they pay you interest. Pretty straightforward.
All right, on to our third category. This one is all about owning a piece of the action, a slice of the very companies that power our entire economy. Yep, we're talking about stocks.
Now, it's super important to know that not all stocks are the same. On one hand, you have value stocks. These are typically solid, established companies with consistent demand for their products. Investing here is really a bet on their proven business model. Then you have growth stocks. Think tech startups. These are high-risk, high-reward bets on brand-new ideas and their potential for the future. Value stocks might not be as explosive, but they often provide steady growth and dividends.
Look, researching individual companies can be a full-time job, right? So a fantastic way to get started for most people is a mutual fund. For example,
A dividend-focused fund will bundle together a whole basket of stable, dividend-paying value stocks. This gives you really broad exposure without you having to become an expert stock picker overnight.
Next up, let's explore assets that get their value directly from being unique and scarce. Now, our hard assets section was about materials that build things. This section is about things that are valuable simply because there's a limited supply. And this covers everything from the ground beneath our feet to one-of-a-kind works of art.
You know the old saying, buy land, they're not making it anymore. And it's true. Land is the ultimate scarce resource. We need it for absolutely everything, our homes, our farms, our businesses. And as the population grows, the demand just keeps going up. This is the fundamental reason why real estate has been such a powerful way to beat inflation for, well, forever.
I know what you might be thinking. Okay, great, but I can't afford a house right now, so this doesn't apply to me. But that idea, the idea that you need a huge pile of cash to get started in real estate, it's actually a pretty common myth.
There are a couple of great ways to get in the game, even if you're starting smaller. First, you've got REITs. That stands for Real Estate Investment Trusts. Just think of them like a mutual fund, but for property. They own a whole portfolio of buildings, and you can just buy shares. Second, you can strategically borrow to buy a rental property, where your tenants' rent payments help cover your mortgage and build your wealth for you.
$450 million. That is what somebody paid for one single painting, Leonardo da Vinci's Salvator Mundi. This is the absolute extreme end of investing in collectibles, where something being truly one of a kind creates just unbelievable value.
But here's the cool part. You don't have to be a billionaire to get involved in this world anymore. And that's because technology has totally opened things up. There are now platforms that let you buy a tiny fractional share of a famous painting. And other online marketplaces are just booming for more accessible collectibles, like rare comic books or trading cards.
So we have covered a lot of ground, haven't we? From physical gold bars to digital shares in a priceless piece of art. Let's pull this all together for one final look.
This table really breaks it all down for us. You've got your hard assets to fight inflation. You have sovereign guarantees for stability. You have value stocks for steady growth and income. And you have real estate and collectibles, which tap into the incredible power of scarcity. And the best part? For every single one, there are now accessible ways for the average person to get started.
Ultimately, what this all comes down to is a fundamental shift in how we think about money. Instead of seeing the cash in your bank account as some treasure that you have to guard, start thinking of it as a tool that's just waiting to be put to work, a tool to build something real, something lasting. So the final question I want to leave you with is this: what will you build with it? Thanks for tuning in.